You picked the wrong line at the grocery store. Again, the other line moved twice as fast. You watched it happen, and for the next 10 minutes, your brain replayed that moment like a crime scene. Why does this happen every single time? Here's the strange part. It wasn't really about the line. It was never about the line. Your brain wasn't upset about losing 10 minutes. It was upset about something far older, far stranger, and far more permanent. It was punishing you for choosing it all because your brain didn't just fail you in that checkout aisle. It was designed to torture you afterward. Every choice you make gets filed away, compared against the choice you didn't make, and quietly, relentlessly held against you. Forever. Even the trivial ones, especially the trivial ones. You think regret is an emotion. It isn't. Regret is a system, a built-in auditing process that runs in the background of every decision you'll ever make, checking your outcome against a version of reality that never existed. And once you understand how that system works, you'll never trust your own certainty the same way again. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying how people evaluate outcomes, and what he found was unsettling. Your brain doesn't judge a choice by whether it was good. It judges a choice by comparing it to the best available alternative you can imagine. That imagined alternative is called a counterfactual, and your mind generates counterfactuals automatically, instantly, without asking permission. Stand in that slow checkout line again. Your brain doesn't just register the wait, it simulates the other line, the faster one. It builds a small, vivid fiction of the life you could have had in the last 10 minutes, and then it makes you grieve for it. That fiction feels real. It isn't. But your nervous system can't tell the difference. Here's the twist your brain hides from you. This isn't a bug in your thinking. It's a feature that once kept your ancestors alive. Imagine a hunter choosing which path leads through the forest. The one who mentally replayed a bad outcome, who felt the sting of a wrong turn, learned faster than the one who felt nothing. Regret was a teacher, a brutal, effective teacher that rewired behavior after a single bad experience. But you're not choosing between forest paths anymore. You're choosing between two nearly identical checkout lines, or two nearly identical job offers, or two nearly identical brands of toothpaste. The ancient machinery built for survival is now running on decisions with almost no stakes at all. And it doesn't know the difference. Isn't that the real trap? A system built to protect you now spends its energy punishing you for buying the wrong toothpaste. Researcher Thomas Jilovich wanted to know which kind of regret actually hurts more, the choices you made or the choices you didn't. He surveyed people about their biggest life regrets, and the pattern that emerged was almost universal. In the short term, people regret their actions, the embarrassing thing they said, the purchase they shouldn't have made. But over the long run, something flips. The regrets that linger for years, the ones people carry into old age, are almost always about inaction. The person they never approached, the career they never tried, the trip they never took. Why would the pain shift like that? Because your brain can rationalize a bad action. It can construct a story. I made that choice because I was tired, because I didn't have the information, because it seemed reasonable at the time. But an action you never took offers no such comfort. There's no story to soften it. Just an open door your mind keeps walking back to, forever wondering what was on the other side. Which regret do you think you're building right now without even noticing? This is where companies enter the picture and where the story turns from personal to predatory. Because if your brain is a machine built to fear regret, then regret becomes something that can be manufactured and sold. Consider the countdown timer on a checkout page. Only 3 left in stock. Sale ends in 10 minutes. That timer isn't informing you. It's engineering a counterfactual before you've even made a decision. It's whispering, if you don't act now, you will feel this loss later. And it's doing this deliberately because anticipated regret is one of the most reliable purchase triggers ever discovered in consumer psychology. You're not buying the product. You're buying relief from a future feeling that hasn't even happened yet. Psychologist Barry Schwartz found something just as unsettling when he studied how choice itself affects satisfaction. You'd assume more options make you happier, more freedom, more control. But Schwartz discovered the opposite. The more alternatives you're offered, the more vivid your counterfactuals become, and the more likely you are to feel regret no matter what you pick. A store with 6 jam flavors sends customers home satisfied. A store with 24 sends them home anxious, comparing, and strangely buying less. Modern life didn't remove your regret. It multiplied the number of paths your brain now has to grieve, and it doesn't stop at products. Social media runs on the exact same circuitry. Every photo of a better vacation, a better job, a better relationship becomes raw material for your brain's counterfactual engine. You're not just living your life anymore. You're constantly auditing it against thousands of lives you're not living, generated by an algorithm that has learned exactly which comparisons keep you scrolling. Psychologist Daniel Gilbert uncovered a piece of this puzzle from a different angle. He studied something called affective forecasting, our ability to predict how we'll feel about future outcomes, and people are remarkably bad at it. We overestimate how devastating a bad decision will feel, and we overestimate how wonderful a good one will feel. In reality, both fade faster than expected, which means the regret you're bracing for right now about some upcoming choice is very likely larger in your imagination than it will ever be in your actual life. There's a final piece to this, one that ties back to the checkout line you never really left. Psychologist Leon Festinger described a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs, like I am a smart person and I just made a bad choice. Your brain despises this tension so much that it will quietly rewrite your memories to resolve it. You'll convince yourself the slower line had a friendlier cashier. You'll tell yourself the road not taken probably that great anyway. This isn't dishonesty. It's your mind performing emergency maintenance on your self-image in real time without your permission. So the next time you feel that familiar sting, watching the other line, the other option, the other life move faster than yours, remember what's actually happening. You're not weak. You're not indecisive. You are running software built for a world of forests and predators, now forced to process infinite catalogs, countdown timers, and curated feeds of other people's highlight reels. The system was never broken. It's simply outdated, and it's being used against you by people who understand it better than you do. You didn't just pick the wrong line at the grocery store. You stepped into a courtroom your own brain built centuries ago, one that never stops deliberating, never issues a final verdict, and never ever lets you leave.